Assalamu alaikum. My name is Joe. I'm from Wales, which is next to England. It's part of Great Britain. I am 28 years old and I am currently in Istanbul outside of Süleymaniye Mosque. I was raised Roman Catholic, but my family weren't too religious. They got me baptized just to keep my grandparents happy. And my grandparents aren't even that religious. I don't think I've ever known them to go to church or pray, for example. But I could be wrong, of course. But yeah, we didn't practice too much as I was growing up. I went to Roman Catholic school my whole life. Yeah, so growing up, I experienced a lot of things. Many things people in the Muslim community would consider haram. Drinking, smoking, partying, going to the clubs, bars, whatever it is. I did all of these things, you know. I also pursued extreme sports. I also worked very difficult jobs, some would consider extreme, just to try and find something, to try and fill this void that I had. I didn't know what was missing, now I do. But yeah, I grew up around in a culture of people who like to drink a lot of beer, and their religion is football, you know, it's soccer. They go and watch this many times a week. Their whole life revolves around it and drinking. And I didn't like this. Chose to walk away from that life when I was 17. As soon as I was legally allowed, I left Wales the day after my last exam in high school. I left and I flew out of the country, and I've been gone most of the time since then. When I left Wales at the age of 17, I went to the States. I went to work at a camp for people with disabilities. I was looking after people who had all sorts of illnesses and injuries. And that was a very good introduction to the problems people face in the world. I'd never really seen these sorts of things before. And now I was looking after them. I was taking care of them. I was doing medical treatments or procedures on these people, you know, very intimate things with these people, helping them with their daily life, you know. And then I eventually discovered snowmobiling, which is like riding a motorbike but on snow. And I pursued that as a career and a passion and a hobby for the next 10 years. I went to Finland where I discovered it. I did it for work, as I said. And then I went up to Canada where it was more free, less restricted. I could do this sport and progress in this sport as I wished, to the maximum of my ability, and I became very competent, very, very good. I was riding about 5,000 kilometers a year, a winter, on one of these machines. So every day, you know, riding as hard as I possibly could. But there was also a second reason for this, was I couldn't sleep at night without being exhausted. I had to be physically exhausted in order to sleep. So I would leave before the sun came up. I would come back as the sun was going down, and I would literally collapse into my bed night after night. And eventually it took its toll on my body and my mind. Yeah, so I was involved in a very serious accident while I was doing this sport on the mountain. I broke my leg, broke my ankle, my foot was hanging off, dislocated as well. I couldn't move from where I was, so I had to get picked up by a helicopter at 2,000 meters and taken for emergency surgery to the hospital. And from then on, my life changed. I was forced to be still, which had never had happened before. I always was occupied. If I wasn't moving, I was listening to music. If I wasn't listening to music, I was listening to a podcast. You know, and when I was riding on the mountain, for example, my snowmobile, I was lost, you know. I was riding without a purpose. At first, it started with me wanting to grow as an individual. I wanted to learn something extreme. I wanted to become competent at it. But then once I become competent, there was nothing. There was, okay, I've achieved this goal. Now what? Now what do I do? What's next? And I didn't have a plan. I didn't have an idea for what was next for me. And so I was riding around on the mountain, and my mind was becoming worse, you know, like I was becoming in a worse situation. I couldn't escape these thoughts now. I couldn't even get tired enough to escape these thoughts that I was having. And from the outside, yeah, you could say my life looked pretty good. Like I was a guide. I was doing what I loved to do as a hobby. I was doing that for work, and I was making good money. I was living off of that. You know, I was on a mountain every day, different mountains, and from the inside, it was very, very different. You know, from the outside, of course, I had a expensive machine. I had a truck. I had different clients every day. You know, I was from a different country, doing what I loved, and no, on the inside it was very, very different. I was lost. I was riding around on that mountain with no clue what I was doing. I was thinking, I'm not going to get tired enough today. Like, I'm not going to sleep enough today. I couldn't even focus on riding. And that's probably why my accident happened. You know, I was so mentally confused. I was having a hard time. 24/7, these thoughts were going through my mind. And even when I was riding this difficult machine to ride, because I had become competent, now I wasn't even thinking about riding. I was thinking these thoughts again, you know, because the riding had become second nature. So from the outside looking in, it looked like a good life. From the inside looking out, I was missing a lot. My conversion story to Islam was very sudden. I'm not a man who needs to study something for eons before I decide I'm going to do that. If it feels right in my heart, I do it. That's it. I'm an emotional-based creature, less of a logic-based being. Ended up having to come to Istanbul to have surgery because of my accident. 3 surgeries in, I still need more treatment. And I couldn't walk for 2 years, right? I was stuck on a couch, on a bed, wherever, on a chair, in the shower. It was very, very difficult. I was having to rely on other people to even bathe, you know, even to eat, even to cook food. I couldn't do these things for a long time. And this was very, very, very difficult for me. So eventually I came to Istanbul to get surgery. And after my surgery, I said, you know what? I like it here. I don't know why, but something's telling me to stay. I don't know what it is, but it's like a gut feeling, and it's very small, very slight, but I'm going to trust it. I'm going to stay. So my dad came with me for surgery. I sent him back. I said, thank you for coming. I'm going to stay. Then, long story short, I discovered Islam one day because I was lost in the city. I took a metro for the first time in Istanbul, and you know, it's pretty wild out here. 20+ million people in this city. I got off the wrong stop over 2 kilometers away from where I was trying to go, and I had no internet on my phone, nothing like that. So I couldn't figure out how to even walk to this place. So I'm walking through the city, I'm just trusting my instinct. I'm saying, yeah, I think it's this way. I'm looking up at the sun and the clouds thinking, yeah, left, right, straight ahead. And then I found a mosque, this mosque, Süleymaniye Mosque. And I didn't even think about it. I just walked straight inside. Like how I was walking out in the street, fast head down, trying to get somewhere. Came straight inside the mosque, and that's it. Before this, I'd seen many, many mosques in Istanbul before, all over Turkey. Even had the opportunity to go in some, but I said no, I'm not going to, out of respect for the people inside. I'm not a Muslim, I don't understand the religion. I'm going to leave them to pray alone. I'm not going to be a disruptive tourist. So I never went in any mosque, but when I came across this mosque, all of a sudden, in front of me, I never heard of it before. I just walked straight in, head down, and I went to the front and I started praying like a Christian, you know. I was like, God, I need guidance. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm inside this mosque. But for some reason I'm here and I need your help, okay? I'm lost in life. I don't know what the next step is for me. I don't know what I'm missing. Please help send me some guidance. I don't know how to pray to you. I don't even know how to ask you for help. I don't know how to address you. I don't want to call you God because it sounds bad. Because people, when they have a problem now, they say, oh my God. So I didn't want to say God. I don't want to say Lord. So please, like, show me the way. Show me what I'm missing. Dawah volunteer. And she got my attention. Said, excuse me, do you speak English? I said, yeah, of course I speak English. And she said, do you want to learn about Islam? I said, internally, I said, maybe this is the guidance I've been looking for. Maybe this is what I'm now meant to seek or learn about. So I said, yeah, let's talk about Islam. I know nothing about Islam. I never even met a Muslim, never spoke with a Muslim, never even really heard anything about the religion. I wasn't a very religious guy at this point. I walked away from Roman Catholicism at the age of 13. I didn't take my confirmation. I wasn't thinking about religion for the last 10 plus years. But maybe this is it. Maybe this is the missing link. Maybe this is the guidance that I've been told I need. So we sat, me and the Sister Hella from Egypt, we sat for 3 hours on the floor of the mosque. We had a back and forth conversation. She told me about Islam. And she said, when she told me the 6 pillars of faith of being a Muslim, I said, I think I'm a Muslim. Like, I think I've been a Muslim my whole life, and I've never been around Muslims, so I've always felt like I'm on the outside. I've always felt like this lack of connection with people because I'm a Muslim and I don't have any Muslims to speak to. So I said, I think I'm a Muslim. How do I actually become a Muslim? And she said, you have to take a shahada. And so I took my shahada there and then, and I said to God, I prayed to God again, like a Christian, because I didn't know the Islamic prayer. And I said, if this is wrong, if I'm making a mistake, then tell me. Because at this point, it was proven to me that God exists. Through my trials, through my tribulations, I'd prayed many times, and it was proven to me God exists. So that's the one thing I knew. So I said, I know you exist. If I'm making a mistake now, going to Islam, tell me. All of the other pillars also made sense to me, and so I said, okay, how do I become a Muslim? Because this is where I've been sent. I just came to this mosque with my intuition. You approached me after I requested for guidance, and I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in that there's a plan behind everything, there's a reason for everything happening. So I put my faith in God, and I said, okay, I'll take my shahada. So I took my shahada there and then, and that was approximately 6 weeks ago. And since then, I've been learning about Islam and staying in the Dawah Center every day around the brothers and sisters and just understanding the culture better and asking questions, which I really, really like. In Islam, we're encouraged to ask questions. Yeah, when I was going to church as a Roman Catholic, I would ask questions and I would get told off. No, Joe, don't ask these questions. Too many questions, Joe. And so I said, what do you mean too many questions? Like, I don't understand the story you're telling me. I'm trying to understand the story, so I'm asking questions. And they would always say, no, too much, just believe, and, that's it. But here in Islam, they tell you to critically think. It says in the Quran, I made you different from the other animals by giving you a brain with which to think. So, think. Ask questions. You have a brain. Critically think about things. Try and discover the truth. Okay? So all these people here, even though I ask some questions that may seem not very good or rude, they don't mind. None of the brothers and sisters mind that I ask these questions. They're all happy to try and answer. If they cannot answer, they say, okay, let's go learn this together. They don't lie and make up something that sounds good. No, they tell you what is the truth, what is the true answer to this question, where is the source for the answer to the question. All these things are very important to me. So yeah, after I took my shahada, which is basically a small sentence saying I believe that there is only one God and that Muhammad is his messenger. That's it. You don't need to be dunked in water or your sins need to be washed away. No, it's not like that. I actually decided to change my name because it's very strange, but my name is Joe, right? It's only 3 letters, very small name. But in Turkey, a lot of people have a problem saying my name. They would say Yoe, like very different things. And so Joe comes from Joseph, and so I chose the name Yousef because it's also Joseph. but I chose it for a few different reasons. In Christianity, Joseph is a carpenter. He likes to work with wood. This is what I also like to do. Yeah, and the main reason is that it's the version of Joseph. Yeah, so 6 weeks ago, I took my Shahada, and since then, every day I've been learning about Islam. So to me, it feels completely natural. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more at ease with myself as an individual. My mind isn't racing. I don't have to be extremely tired anymore physically in order to sleep. I can sleep easy now, no problem, because I know that I've been guided to the right path, to the straight path. I know that this is what I was missing. I was missing God in my life. I was missing worshiping God, thanking God for my life. We were created by God, so we need to thank God for creating us. So I took my Shahada and I started praying the very next day. Fortunately, I was surrounded by brothers and sisters who were true to the Muslim faith and who were willing to help me how to become a good Muslim, and that involved learning how to recite some Arabic verses, because you need to recite some verses as you pray. Chapter 1, verse number 1, Al-Fatiha. It goes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanirrahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina siratal mustaqim, Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim, Ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Ameen. That's the whole verse. And it took me about 3 weeks to learn this. At first I was having a hard time because I've been out of school for a long time. I haven't studied for a long time. Like I said, the very next day after my Shahada, I started praying. And since then, every hour of my life, every minute has been devoted to learning about Islam, to learning the basics, and to discovering to realize how to put these things into practice in my life, how to live as a good Muslim. So I've been praying. I've prayed 5 times a day, every day, since my Shahada. But I'm going to think about the one who created me, and I'm going to give thanks to that being. So every time you pray, you focus on that. You give thanks to that being, Allah, God, who created us. You say, thank you very much for creating me. All the miracles it took to take place in order for me to be here right now. Thank you for that. And once you finish praying, you feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. Like, now I'm at peace again. Now I can go into the next part of my day at a balanced level, with no anger, with no confusion in my mind, with no distractions in my mind. I'm at ground zero again. I'm back at base level again, how I was created. Okay? So that's how I feel after I pray. Yes, the West will pollute the minds of your children if you do not come together and strengthen the faith in your communities. Okay, you can see this happening in every Islamic country in the world. The things the West is pushing, like celebrity, fame, fortune, all of these things are being told to your children that they should achieve. They should try and do these things. They should love these celebrities. They should worship the celebrities like Allah. But we cannot do this. We cannot give in to this. Every Islamic nation needs to come together, needs to meet, and needs to say, this is what we agree on, this is what we will stand for, this is what we will not stand for, and we will come and we will be strong. We will not let you pollute the minds of our young, and we will not let you turn them away from God. We will keep reminding them that Allah is number one. He is absolutely, undeniably number one, and that the West cannot pollute the minds of our children.